Hey guys, in this video I want to show you the very basic tools you need to have in your toolbox, whether you're a handyman or do it yourself. One of the first tools you're going to want is your regular everyday hammer. If you don't already have one of these, you need to get one of these things. Regular hammers comes in just under a foot. There are a lot of other hammers that are longer. The head of the hammer, there's different weights. Some of the hammers have grooves on the head for traction on whatever you're hitting. The nail puller claws come in different angles. This one has a pretty slight angle on it. There's different kind of hammers too. This is your sledgehammer. This one here, let's see, comes in about just under 10.5 inches. It's really short, and there's a lot longer ones because these hammers are meant for really pounding things. You can just tell it's a lot meatier head than the regular hammer is, and the weight is significantly different. And why it's different is because you want the weight, and this is for, breaking concrete. You can bend metal pretty easily with them. A lot of different uses. A lot of them are just used for demolition usually. Same thing with the other one. Wood handle, they come in fiberglass, they come in all different lengths, anywhere up to like 3 feet. So you could really hit hard what you're wanting to. So I have this other hammer that looks really cool. Comes in, let's see how long we're going. Going about, I don't know if you can see it, but it's right around 18 inches. Let's compare that to the other hammer. Not even close. Not even close. But in this case, bigger is not better, depending on what you're doing. Because as far and as long as this thing is, you might be able to get a grip on it, but to actually swing and hit a nail with this thing is actually kind of hard. So I use it mostly for demolition, and you look really, really cool coming onto the job site with this. You got steel, construction, rubber grip, and just looking at the head on this thing, you got these little grooves right here, and what these are nail sets. You can set a nail in here. Another thing, these grooves right here, instead of the claw, are also nail pullers. And this claw also has a pretty shallow angle for pulling nails. And you got a hollow tip just because it's plenty heavy enough. This thing is just about as heavy as the sledgehammer that I showed you just a little bit ago. The next thing you want is your basic handsaw. And the main purpose for this is just to cut boards. Easy, fairly inexpensive, and I mean, that's pretty much its sole purpose. But there's all for crafts, woodworking, it works excellent. Moving on to metal cutting, you got your hacksaw. Again, fairly inexpensive, very simple designs. There's a couple different designs you can get, but this one's fairly inexpensive and cuts metal. Pretty self-explanatory. So those are your two basic saws. This one is so inexpensive and so helpful that you might as well get it, because what this is a keyhole saw. So just comparing sizes. Let's flip this over here and get this other saw. This is just size difference. So with your size difference, if you can't, you know, this part right here, a couple inches wide, I mean, that point, you know, just comparing your tips. Let's move this over here. Lot smaller tip. You can get in smaller areas, start holes with it. They come with interchangeable blades. Right now, I got a wood blade on there with wider space teeth, and then the smaller one. So this one's metal and steel. Alright, next you got your pliers. This is as basic as it gets. These are your 2-channel pliers, and why they're called 2-channel pliers is because you got 2 slots you can slide this in, one for larger, where your handle's closed. So if you have something where the first channel won't grab it, you can switch to the second channel for a bigger grip. Very inexpensive, very practical, easy to use. Definitely recommend getting a pair of those. Next one, kind of like the 2-channel pliers, are your channel locks. There's a lot of these around that look like this, but I highly recommend you get channel locks. It says it right on the bottom of the plier there, and there's a lot that look like this, but the channel slips and the cheap quality. So these are a little more expensive, but I recommend getting them. What these do, kind of like the 2-channel pliers, you can slide them way open to get onto pipes, just about anything. Very helpful. They're a little longer than the 2-channel pliers, so they give you a little more leverage. Next we got our needle nose pliers. These ones here are not like name brand. They're a little off, but Pro Torque. They work fine for me. Things with these is you just got the very small tip compared to large, and snips that come in handy. Next you got, these are a little different than pliers. You got your wire strippers. Pretty self-explanatory. Got your different wire sizes here, crimping right here, cutoffs right here, and little pliers inside. Not too bad, not too expensive. Those are good to have. These are specifically just snips. These run kind of expensive. Had these forever, and the way they work here, through here with the linkage, you get tons of leverage for clipping big wires, fencing, electronics, things like that. One thing we got here, these are normal fencing pliers. Fencing pliers are good to have if you're out on the farm, ranch, working. Pretty basic. You got your wire cutters in 3 different spots. Your main pliers right here, and they're all steel construction. Very durable, lasts a long time. This is another kind of fencing plier that a lot of ranchers use and stuff. You kind of got a built-in hammer with grooves on it. It's pretty heavy, so you can get a good amount of force with it. You got a claw for digging out staples, holding wire to wood posts and stuff like that. Excellent pullers, massive grip, and 2 side cutters, kind of like the fence pliers I was showing you earlier. Last pliers we got for you are these vice grips. These are Irwin's. Vice grips are kind of like the channel locks. You kind of want to get them by cheaped out, and got Irwin style vice grips. They have worked very well. Pretty much you can grab onto something, rounded bolts, anything, and lock it into place. and it'll stay there, so you don't have to keep your hand tied around it to keep the bolt from slipping. Next thing we got is your everyday screwdriver. I want to give a word out for these ones here. They say that they're interchangeable, so all you gotta do, you take the handle off, then you got a big Phillips and a small Phillips, and then you just switch that around, and then you got a small Phillips and a big Phillips, lock it into place, you're ready to go. Very practical. This is 4 screwdrivers in one, and very cheap. It was like $7 or something. These don't work for everything, but I highly recommend them. There's ones with screws on the back that pop off that have tons of different attachments inside, some extensions, star wrench patterns, Allen wrenches. So there's a lot of different variety, but I definitely recommend picking one of these up. Those don't always work for everything. Sometimes you need longer screwdrivers. This is another power torque. I had a hole I really needed to go deep into with this Phillips head, and this screwdriver was too thick and too long, and that's why that came into play. Again, long screwdriver. There's many different kinds. If before buying a pack, if you can try out the different handles. I mean, there's so many different handles. I mean, all of these have different handles on them. I can't see that one. But get what handle you can get a better grip on. Some want smaller for finer stuff. This one has a rubber grip for a lot better traction. A lot of different options there. There's also different sizes. This is tiny for awesome for small spaces. Alright, and now you got your wrenches and ratchets. This is a normal ratchet here, kind of like the hammer. You got a smaller one for tighter spaces. This one's got a flexible handle, bends either way. Sockets, especially for working on cars and stuff. Very easy, you just pop them in, and very practical for anything with bolts. You cannot go wrong. And I don't have my whole ratchet set here with me, but these things come from super small to massive sizes. There's also a couple different sockets you can get. There's spark plug sockets. This one has wrench fitting on the outside, so you can grab it with a wrench if you don't have a ratchet that goes with it, or you can't get it on there. This one in particular has all these little hexagon pins in here that push in. So like if you don't have the right size or something, you can just push that in there and it'll turn your bolt, screw, leg bolt, whatever you got. So these are kind of cool. They're not the most reliable, but the hexagon shape kind of helps a little bit. All right, your wrenches. The normal press wrench, awesome thing to have. Completely, very versatile. Can open up probably like 2 inches, not quite. This one's about inch and a quarter. So there's that one, plenty. There's different sizes of those. I mean, these run a little expensive, the bigger you get, but definitely worth it. Kind of like the hammer again, more length equals more torque and leverage for turning big bolts. The next thing we got are your normal open end and box end wrenches. They come in standard and millimeters, of course. Couple different designs. I don't have all of them. Sometimes you got your open end, box end. Get a little more traction on your bolts here. These are really nice, just for any mechanics, whatever projects you got, but mostly mechanics use these kind of things. And then you got your, this is a ratcheting box end, which is really nice. You can make really quick work of whatever bolts you gotta loosen or tighten, and they get really small too. So kind of like the sockets, you have all kinds of different sizes. And last but not least, your tape measure. Get a Stanley or whatever your fancy brand is. 16 is a good length. They come in anywhere from 3 feet, 5 feet. You know, this is a 16. They have 25, 30, all the way to 100 footers. But this is really good. Helped me make the video a little bit to kind of give you a sight of how long the tools are. Measurements, you got to measure things, you know, almost daily if you're working on things to make a cut. How long, how wide a bolt is, very helpful.